Hi, folks, and welcome back to another live-action debate edition of Two Witness News at the Lost Begotten, blah, 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 little fake box on your fucking phone.
Or a computer, or tablet.
We're trapped in a box. I don't know, we're literally looking at our heads, too, while we film this.
I'm actually fascinated by the reflection right there.
Is that the fish tank or the
that's
TV?
No, that's the light. This is the fish tank.
It was fish tank.
Yeah, it's not the TV.
All right, so we were discussing the Electoral College.
Again, because we do this once every month or so.
And we had just seen a quote from Al Gore basically saying exactly your sentiments, which are...
The Electoral College doesn't work and it needs to be abolished.
Because if it was, it would promote voting, right?
Yeah, it would promote the democratic process. More people would believe that their vote counted if you took out the Electoral College.
See, once I get her talking...
Oh, you really want me to keep going?
Go ahead.
Okay, we don't need the Electoral College. I can't even get this out, and this is what just happened, is that I can't even get this out and really even say that the Electoral College works for the House and the Senate. It doesn't, it's not necessary at all, period. Nobody wants to go out and vote because their vote doesn't matter. Perfect example. Here in Louisiana, we vote blue. We live in a red state. Our blue vote doesn't really matter because our state votes red. So why should I take time out of my day and be 2 hours late to work because I stood in line to vote if my vote's not going to matter anyway? Popular vote, and going by that, while it does leave room, where I will concede to your point, that it does leave room for a little bit more margin of error, more people would be inclined to come out and vote because their voices would actually be heard.
Right.
Yes, this person voted Democrat. This person voted Republican. Not like this many people voted Republican and this many people voted Democrat, so we're all going to vote Republican. No, it doesn't work. And the states themselves don't need a say in the president. The president is not put in office to serve the states. The president is put in office to serve the people. For the people, by the people, of the people. We the people. Sorry.
People are people, so what you...
But no, for real. Like, it's a pointless system. And the only reason that the actual electoral people want to keep doing it is because I guarantee you they make an ass ton of money off of it. And why is it that we're not allowed to see their little debate about how they're going to vote when it comes to the actual, what do you fucking call it in December?
Right. Well, okay, so what I was telling her was that usually they don't do what, according to the Constitution, they're supposed to do. And that's my argument for their disbandment.
Sorry,
typically, we have a deliberative process that is publicly displayed in the media through the primary system and all that. And that was considered to be the reason why we didn't need to do this deliberative process and why all the electors just simply cast their votes. Now we have a situation in which the Hamilton essays, known as the Federalist Papers, are existentially valuable to our democracy. And according to the Constitution, the electors have a duty to deliberate and basically cast aside all the fake news that's been out. And it basically says that they're supposed to prevent a demagogue from hypnotizing the masses or something to that effect. So basically, according to the Constitution, their duty is, in fact, even if somebody like Donald Trump were to win the popular vote, they should still intervene and not cast their electoral votes for him based on the due diligence. Okay, like if the entire nation was deceived, and I really think you're right that if they do such a process, that it should be open to the public, so that the public can once and for all get the facts straight about why this man is unqualified to be president, according to the Constitution.
Well, and here's my other thing too. Okay,
And if they're not going to do their job, they should be disbanded.
why is there? You have to be.
And it should be popular vote.
When you go out in the real world and you get a job, you have to meet certain qualifications.
Right.
Why are there not qualifications to run the fucking country? Oh, what? You got to be a certain age and you have to have been born here. Whoop-de-frickin'-do. No, you should have to meet qualifications, have a certain level of education, have served in politics in one way, shape, or form, and I'm not talking about fucking politics like Donald Trump has.
Well, I believe it lists further qualifications under the executive clause of the Constitution,
But
Article 4, Section 2.
Then how could Donald Trump have gotten through? He's got conflicts of interest.
Well, and that's why the electoral. That's what I'm talking about. It's the electoral college is supposed to stop.
You don't need the electoral college. You need those standards put in place to begin with, so that nobody
at the primary level.
Yes, at the primary level. Okay. So that way you don't have.
See, they don't go according to the Constitution. They're actually technically considered private clubs that make their own rules. But if any of those private clubs are listening right now, yeah. I don't know how the hell the Republicans let Donald Trump, other than bribery.
I just, there's just no way that if there was a standard of qualifications that you had to meet at the primary level to even be able to run for president, you can't freaking work at a grocery. I mean, there are places you can't work in the bakery of a grocery store without having certain qualifications. Pre-qualifications, not stuff that you pick up while you're there. No, this is stuff you already have to know.
Right.
That should be in place first. So then you don't have idiots making a circus out of the entire primary. Like, the primary should not be a fucking 3-ring circus like it was. Okay, so you have that in place. You get rid of the Electoral College so that when people vote, more people are going to go out to vote because their voices are actually mattering and it's heard. And it's easy. I mean, fucking simple process. And I guarantee you, it would save our country a whole shit ton of fucking money.
Something's got to be mandated at the... I mean, maybe even an amendment to the Constitution needs to be passed that says specifically the Electoral College's job. Or else, yeah, we do need to get rid of it.
No, there's just...
I mean, it can serve a purpose in theory. But right now, basically, it's refusing to serve that purpose. Except for 15 of them.
And if you would put...
Which is a growing number. That's good, right?
If you would put those standards in place that I was talking about in the primaries, you wouldn't need that process when it came down to time.
That's true.
That's what I'm saying. You would save the country a shit ton of money because if you had those standards in place to where certain people you had to meet qualifications to run in the primaries, then by the time you made it to the presidential election...
But then that would be subjective according to those political parties. I mean, what we really need is a bipartisan federal law, so that kind of impedes.
It doesn't impede. We've got... Look how many people were on the ballot.
Unless you want to have a federal law that all of those different parties have to adhere to.
Yes, no, I'm not just talking about the Democrats. I'm talking about the entire process, period.
Right.
You have to meet certain... To run this country, to be eligible to run this country, you have to meet certain standards. It doesn't matter if it's you. It doesn't matter if it's Richard. It doesn't matter if it's the king of fucking Egypt. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you don't meet these certain qualifications, there is no possible way that you can become president. Period. I don't have a bar degree. I can never become a lawyer. As a pre-qualification to become a lawyer is to take the bar and pass it with a degree. I do not have those things. I will never be a lawyer. Why can somebody like that run the country?
When it all comes down to it, Donald Trump's layers of bullshit kind of got him past those questions.
Look at his freaking record.
Right?
I mean, when I say qualifications,
I still think they should have
not
allowed him to be a nominee, but like I said, he probably bribed his way into being a nominee to begin with.
He's refusing daily briefings.
Oh, look, a random ding from a cell phone somewhere. Correct answer.
He's been refusing daily security briefings. So he's not even freaking prepping. He's been letting his children in on diplomatic meetings that he shouldn't even really be having. I understand that, okay, yeah, you're familiarizing, you've never been in politics. I could see a little leeway there. But you don't have your fucking children that are supposed to be running your companies as a blind trust in with your freaking meeting. What the frick does your company do? No, he has too many goddamn conflicts of interest.
Yep.
Period. Just and it doesn't even matter his character at this point. You
See,
throw all that out the fucking window. As much as I hate to say that, throw all the shit he said, everything he's ever done. Just look at
politics aside, basically.
Essentially, but I mean, look at his fucking businesses. You cannot.
Between the conflicts of interest, the diplomatic conflicts of interest, which are actually in violation of the emoluments clause of the Constitution, according to Richard Painter, the former Bush lawyer. Oh yeah, I got all that right.
Mm-hmm. You remembered his name. I was like pursed, ready to tell you the last name.
What was I saying? His foreign powers conflicts of interest, but then his KGB connection. I mean, the fucking Russian interference in this election, the bullshit news interference in this election. You know, I hate how this is seen as a partisan thing. Like that's why this world seems fucking insane to me. That Russian involvement in an election has become a partisan issue that Republicans have a problem with, that they're standing up for. Oh no, that's okay. Vladimir Putin's a strong leader who kills journalists and fucking invades Europe. Heil,
No, I'm raising my hand.
Hail Putler.
I wanted it to be in the shot, because if I do like this, it just looks weird. You can't expect that somebody's qualified to run the country that takes advantage of laws that are put in place to help people because they can. And I'm referring to the bankruptcies. I'm referring to the poor contractors and the people who loaned him money and who did the work for him that probably lost everything because he filed for bankruptcy. In his own words, because he could.
Lucky for him, it was really hard to Google all that shit before the election. Thank you, Russian hackers. Or whatever the fuck caused that.
It's just this whole thing has just become a 3-ring fucking circus.
It couldn't be more rigged than it could possibly be.
But the point being, you could get rid of the Electoral College completely and save this country an ass ton of money by having standards in place.
But what of the whole premise of, if he rigged it, if Russia helped him rig it, if he had all these conflicts of interest and then bullshitted his way to the popular vote...
He wouldn't have, because he wouldn't have been qualified to run for president. You're missing my whole thing. You have the standards in place.
You're refusing to accept that this could happen. Standards can be bullshitted past. What if somebody literally bullshitted their way past that, though?
How?
Well, I mean, if you actually look at the Republican and Democratic parties, they kind of have standards.
No, they don't.
These things were like raised up, and then just like this fucking weird media fucking circus just happened, and just Donald Trump just became the fucking nominee, man.
Yeah, because they don't have standards. That's how come.
Okay. Well, my contention was to begin with that wasn't even happening. People were paid and voted in those primaries. They organized this shit years in advance to rig the exact primaries that he needed to rig to win. Like, at some point, a nation that has been at war since its inception, that has been basically, we're a nation of refugees, and there have been people coming to try to kill us. Menthol cigar.
Which were given to us. Not we didn't go and buy them, just so you know. Because I fixed a friend's car. Thank you. Okay, but again, my standards and the qualifications that it takes.
I need to remind people that my spine's broken in 3 places and I don't have medical insurance. PTSD, all that good stuff.
Back to the topic at hand. No, this is just my point being that there would be no Donald Trump. There would be no Donald Trump because you have to have qualifications. Just like any job. Like I said, I cannot become a lawyer in this country because I have not gone to
All
college
right.
and taken the bar.
Okay, so let me just tell you what most people would say to that, especially Republicans. Is that basically you're choosing, you're letting a committee, who's on the committee, okay, who makes the rules, who's watching the watchers, but you're letting them pick winners and losers. You know what I'm saying?
It
It's
happens.
supposed to be up to the people at every stage in the game.
It's
You know
not
what I'm
up
saying?
to us who runs.
No, it's up to the primary voters.
Okay, but the primary you're
Right.
missing you're missing my point completely. You treat that job no different than you do any job that you and I have. If you weren't broken and I wasn't, I was more educated on paper than what I am.
Right.
We go out in the workforce, and there are certain jobs that we are qualified to do. There are certain jobs we're not qualified to do.
Right.
I did not go to a police academy training. I am not qualified to be a police officer.
Okay, so on paper with the conflicts of interest, basically he would say what every president who's owned businesses, nobody's owned quite as much as he has. Okay, nobody's had so many conflicts of interest as he had, but other people have had businesses that are conflicts of interest. And they have said at the primary process, and not given their businesses up until they won, if they won, that they would give them up.
He's not going to give them up.
Okay.
His children are running them. There's a
But
difference.
how do you on paper approve that beforehand? You know what I'm saying?
Okay,
So he would simply say
okay, so
that,
conflicts
and
of
then,
interest-
like he's done it,
conflicts of
say,
interest
I'm gonna
aside.
give it to my children.
Okay, conflicts of interest aside, I'll concede to you on that one. That makes sense. But he's not.
Then there's the KGB thing that one would think. You know, let me just back you up with your own argument here. One would think that the CIA would contact the Republican Party and be like, "This guy's spouting Russian propaganda. You have to, just take his nomination out the fucking hat."
Do you know what my standards would be? I'm just gonna sit here and be honest with you. If I were to make the rules for who would qualify to be able to run this country and who wouldn't qualify, do you know what my rules would be? You would have to go through a thorough, extensive background check. I'm talking not like state and local level. I'm talking like federal level.
Yeah, they should know everything about you.
They should know your whole life should be an open book.
Right.
All of your taxes disclosed.
Into the confession booth with you, laddie.
Pretty much, no. All of your taxes disclosed. And as much as I hate to say it, your fucking credit score, because you're running the fucking country. You're running an entire country. So
taxes
your credit,
definitely
your
be
taxes
required
and
by
your
law.
credit should be required by law to be an open.
I think if you actually own foreign holdings, you should be subject to a thorough financial audit open to the public.
You should have to
And if
have.
you have a problem with that, pull your name out the hat.
You should have to have a minimal 7 years in politics at some level, whether it be,
Okay, but
local.
See, then you have the outsider approach, and you're interfering with democracy. Based
No,
on
I'm
your
not.
opinions.
No, I'm not.
Okay, and then again, we have this.
You have
process,
experience. You have jobs that are out there right now that won't take you unless you have experience already.
And all you need to do to understand my argument, okay, is that the Electoral College is not there to circumvent the popular vote unless those things are violated.
But isn't that what this whole argument about is whether or not they're actually going to do it?
Right, but they have to do it once they win, don't they? Once they win the,
But when I'm
first
saying, no,
stage of the election.
I'm talking about
So that provides another stage of the election for basically professional type people. And I think the Electoral College, if it wants to stay, needs to be a more public process, and it needs to actually do its job.
They're
But
picked
I
by
think
the
it
party
really
members.
does serve a good purpose if it does its job.
But there's nothing there to enforce them to do their job. So either you get rid of it completely, or you place regulations in place.
Well,
that
you are
forces
the
them.
enforcement. Okay, people. I mean, basically, what my contention makes the people the enforcement, because if this happens, the Electoral College is going to be a big issue from now on.
It already is going to be a big
and it will
issue.
wind up being disbanded.
It just doesn't work. It doesn't work because there's no guarantee. And when there's money involved, there's never a guarantee. And the way Trump plays,
No, I mean corruption. There you go. I mean, corruption is corruption.
and he's talking about drain the swamp. Look at the
and
fucking
that's,
people he's
you
bringing
know,
into
according to the
Washington.
democratic process, when corruption gets out of hand, the people have to act.
You should not, a white supremacist, a self-proclaimed white supremacist, should not be allowed to hold office, any office whatsoever. But it's allowed. I mean, this is a fucking three-ring circus. Our government does not work. It is broken. Our government is fucking broken. The whole system is broken. You want to know why the people are always so angry? Because the system doesn't work. People in other countries where the system actually works are happy. They lead productive lives.
Where are those places right now in this new era of Russian propaganda that you're completely forgetting while you go on this anti-government tirade? Mm-hmm.
Finland, Norway, before the migrants took over, they're very happy, and their government's freaking works.
Listen to what you said, before the migrants took over.
We don't have a migrant problem here yet.
According to who?
Not
Donald Trump supporters.
Not to that degree, we don't. This whole thing is just a fucking circus. And it doesn't
And we
work.
know that how? Because we saw it on the internet. I admit that I'm convinced by it too, but, you know.
From a million different sources.
There's a lot of shit going on at the Mexican border that's pretty fucking scary too.
It doesn't work. The Electoral College, it doesn't work. Period. You got the guy from Texas quit. You got this dumbass over in Michigan. Oh my god, I'm getting death threats because somebody told me they wish I'd die.
I hope you die.
I hope you die. I hope you die. So
And
that's
then
a death
he adds,
threat.
Then on his next interview, he adds 2 more things.
Just because you're hiding behind a keyboard doesn't make it not a threat. You sound like a fucking pussy. Pull up your big girl panties. And fucking do
And
your
the dude's
goddamn
got this
job.
fucking little shitty smirk on his mouth, and he kind of just talks out the side of his mouth the whole time. You know, like just, I'm so full of shit I can't even face you with my mouth.
Well, and you know what? Maybe people wouldn't wish you die if they knew that you were actually going to do the right thing and do your job properly.
Well, I mean, people are passionate about protecting American democracy. Can you blame them? You know, people talk about living in a fucking bubble. That's a bubble that you're living in. If you're in denial of the Constitution and the fucking, you know, the will of the people as far as the popular vote goes. And the fact of the matter is, most people stayed home. Okay, the people that stayed home, A, because Donald Trump was appalling in truth, and Hillary Clinton was made out to be appalling by lies.
That and they don't believe their voices count. That's always a factor into it. That's always been. Doesn't matter who the candidates are.
But I really think if it wasn't for the fucking lies, that we could have had a pretty united country in our effort to get behind a nice white lady. You know, like, people were ready. We had our black president. Everybody kind of wanted to get back to a white president on the right, you know. But both sides could agree that having a female president would be a good thing, except for the misogynistic assholes like fucking, you know, Donald Trump and his whole little team. But baby,
It doesn't work.
corruption can
Wrong.
exist. Corruption can exist on all levels.
Wrong.
Stop it.
You're wrong.
And the whole idea is for a stopgap. Okay, the Electoral College is supposed to be a stopgap.
Key terms
So
supposed
that
to be.
if the masses are hypnotized, which they were, okay, they weren't quite as hypnotized as he hoped, which, you know, good people helped with that. But the fact of the matter is, the Electoral College is supposed to be this stopgap that reverts from rumors and hypnosis of the masses and, you know, like just different things that need to be investigated and thought of deliberatively. That's according to the Constitution. Like it says deliberatively or something. Something like that. All right.
Defibrillator?
Defibrillator? No. It says deliberatively? I believe it says deliberatively. Anyway.
Deliberately?
No. No. No, that's like that's a different word. Anyway.
Wrong.
Shut up! So the whole fucking thing is supposed to be a stopgap, alright?
It's gonna be huge.
Because, I mean, we can have, like, alright, be real about what the fuck just happened, baby.
Sorry.
We could have had, you have people who in 1991 migrated en masse from Russia to Israel. By becoming Israeli citizens, they then qualified for dual American-Israeli citizenship without needing to live in the United States.
That's stupid.
These people came here, made residencies in those northern states, which are now being recounted, which are the states that I called out several months ago, if anybody haven't noticed. And they came, and they voted. And they rigged the fucking election. And Russia hacked and rigged our information sources. And embarrassed one of our candidates, while making another one seem like, what was it? The Untouchable Don or something like that? No, like fucking nothing sticks to fucking Donald Trump, basically. I mean, they just drove us crazy. One fucking thing after another, after another, after another, and then these fucking talking heads sitting there telling you all this bullshit fucking rationalization crap to make you think that people were out there defending it. And then you just got paid supporters on TV. Until eventually the bandwagon effect took hold. And fake support combined with naive support. Okay, I'm not saying nobody supported him. I'm just saying it wouldn't be a fucking enough. Not that many people are that stupid. You have the paid support combined with the original naive support, creating bandwagon effect that got him, probably 39% of the vote, plus cheating. What you doing? It doesn't show up that well on this, but okay, I'll try.
Does that not look like the Dance with the Devil? Like, that's what this scene should be in, like, this picture should be titled. Look at the terrified look on Mitt Romney's face. Now look at the smirk on Donald Trump's face. He just bought Mitt Romney's soul.
That's what's in the cup. And on that bombshell, I guess we've pretty much decided nothing. You don't think the Electoral College...
It's broken.
According to the Constitution, though. If people would actually enforce the fucking Constitution.
If they would enforce the Constitution, but
yes.
But they're not.
But some of them are.
It needs to be done as a whole or it doesn't work. It's broken. You either do away with it or you fucking make sure you enforce it. There's no in between.
Really, the problem is that the state laws prohibiting the electors from changing their vote are unconstitutional.
Well, wait a second.
And should be
Okay, hold up.
I'm
about to start a whole new... I'm about to open up a whole new can of worms. So if they can change their vote, but the whole point is that they're
in the states that don't have the faithless electoral laws.
Okay, but riddle me this, Batman. If you can change your vote against what your state voted, but then you're still
according to the Constitution,
but you still are throwing out. You're still throwing out people's voices when no matter how you look at the Electoral College, you are still throwing out people's voices.
Okay, but again, back to the fucking loophole argument that I seem to be stuck in with you. They have to deliberate based upon the facts when the people could have been fed a bunch of bullshit. And the election could be rigged, and the fucking voting machines could be hacked, and Russian Israeli citizens, and fucking.
And you're just gonna see less and less people coming out to vote as the elections go on, because it doesn't make sense.
Unless they open up the process, which is I thought we were going in the beginning of this. I thought we had come to some sort of an agreement at the beginning of this. Like basically, after the fucking dust settles, you have the politician who won the publicly called vote. You know, I mean, it's not even really an official process, okay? And the other person concedes on election night, all right? And then you have the process of them putting together their cabinet. What happens is the other candidates, before the Electoral College votes, actually are in secret putting together what's called shadow cabinets. I think that process should be made public. And if there is deemed to be any suspicion raised in the time between the election day and the Electoral College vote of the candidate or of his cabinet picks, then that's when the Electoral College should have a public debate on those issues and decide if that person who won the Electoral College should be president and does in fact represent the will of all the people and can serve them, or whether or not they should concede to the popular vote. And if both candidates be unqualified, it should go to, I think they should have another fucking election, personally. Like, I really, at this point, would be very happy if Obama just stayed in office for another year and we just switched to odd numbers. You know, like, let's just have another election. Let's just have some new fucking candidates. Like, you know, like, that are under 50. Fuck's sake.
I don't know. We're filming, so I'm not looking.
So, anybody who's not trolling, tell us what you think in the comments below. I'm just gonna just let them rip on this one, unless you're just obviously trolling. If you don't have something nice to say or productive to add, you know, shut the fuck up. So, yeah, that was interesting. Thanks for watching, everybody. Like and subscribe. Peace.